All right, welcome everybody to our Lunch and Learn. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to our guest speaker, Mike Haley from ATI. Go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate being able to spend the hour with you. And just a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Mike Haley. I'm one of the team leaders here at ATI. I work with the coaches. I've been in this industry for about 35 years. And I was just thinking the other day when I was, getting ready for this, I remember a time back in the late 80s, early 90s, when I worked for a company that when we were interviewing candidates that actually had a beard, one of the dress codes is that we didn't permit beards at this place. And so I would have to have a conversation with somebody on, would that be a problem for them to ask them to shave their beard? They could have a mustache, but not a beard. And I was just thinking, wow, how far have we come where we've gone from that, So it's just interesting how things have evolved and how we've gotten here. So what I'm here to do today is kind of go over how to build a bench, how important it is, why it's necessary, and what's involved in it. So with that, let's go ahead and get underway. So why is it important to build a bench? Why do we need to prepare for building a bench? I gotta get this to move. Sorry, guys, bear with me. Stop the share here real quick. So let me pull it back up. Sorry, guys, I apologize. Got it? Okay, great. So building a bench, why is it important to build a bench? Let me tell you a little story. My son played Division I lacrosse for the Mount St. Mary's. And this was a little school tucked in the hills of Emmitsburg, Maryland. And as some of you, especially in North Carolina, know that the Mid-Atlantic area is a hotbed for lacrosse. So the coaches are challenged with trying to get the best of the best to come to their schools and play for their schools and represent their schools. The whole goal of the coach is to try to make the NCAA tournament. Making the NCAA tournament does a few things, and it's kind of timely we're talking about it with the March Madness getting ready to begin or underway. And so what that does, it gives the school exposure for recruits to come in. It gives the school exposure to boosters to donate money to the programs. And it's just how they thrive and how they grow as a team. And so what I didn't realize is when my son got in there as a freshman that the coach was trying to lay out a plan so that he could get to the tournament and go deep into the tournament. It's obviously one thing to get invited to the tournament. It's another thing to get there and to go deep into the tournament for more exposure. So on his board in his office, he had a succession chart or a flow chart, if you want to call it. And so he had all his positions, the years that they graduate, the years that they're coming in, if someone was redshirted or not. As most of you probably know, you only have 4 years of eligibility when you're playing in a collegiate sport. So sometimes if you had a really good player and you knew you're going to be weak the following year, you might redshirt that player. He can practice and participate for everything except the games, but it would give him another year of eligibility in the years to come. So all this strategizing had to take place. And it was pretty interesting to watch. And I was like, geez, I never really considered that. You're only going to have this person for a certain amount of time, and then you've got to replace them with someone just as adequate or hopefully even better. And think about how that relates to our world and how that works. And so let me tell you a little bit of story about the goalies. So my son came in as a freshman. The year that the Coach Gravani expected to go deep into the NCAA tournament was his sophomore year. And so he was lining up goalies and face-off guys and attackmen and things of that nature. And this particular year, the sophomore year, he had 4 goalies. You only play 1 goalie at a time, but he had 4 goalies. And typically in the game of lacrosse, the goalies either have a very good day or they have a very bad day, and there's no in between. And so you will need another goalie or 2 to go ahead and pull that goalie if they're having a bad day. These guys are slinging the ball probably at about 95 to 100 miles an hour. They're doing it as close as 5 to 10 feet away from you, and they're trying to pull every trick that they know in the book to try to get you to miss. They'll bounce it off the ground, trying to go in the corners of where your lacrosse stick is not at, and so it's a tough job. I don't know why anyone would want to be a goalie, but anyway, we started this year with 4 goalies. We're feeling pretty good. They're all good guys, good goalies, and we're going to go pretty deep. So let me tell you what happened. So this is a spring sport, but you practice all year. School started in the fall. The team gets there about 2 weeks before the rest of the student show, and then they go ahead and progress through. Well, probably a couple weeks into the fall semester, there was a party on campus, and it was a really good party. So good that the sheriff's department was called out to come and disband the party. Well, one of the goalies had such a great time that he ended up going to spend the night with the sheriff at the local jail. And then when that all got taken care of, he was asked to leave the school and never to return. So within 2 to 3 weeks of just starting out, we already lost 1 goalie. We're down to 3. Not a problem. You can actually function, and that's usually what you'll carry on a roster is 2 to 3 goalies. So pretty routine up until Christmas break, and then everyone goes home for Christmas break. One of the goalies was home enjoying his family, playing video games, actually playing Xbox, PlayStation, I forget which one it was, sitting with his legs crossed down on the floor. So he went to get up, got up abruptly, got up in an awkward position, and did a partial tear on his ACL. So he was going to have surgery and miss the season, all because of getting up from a seated position. So now we're down to 2 goalies. Again, we can function, we can make it, but going to be tough. And then came our scrimmages. Usually you'll have a couple scrimmages before the season starts. The season starts in February. I don't know why they call that a spring sport, but they do. So in February, we went up to Drexel up in Philadelphia, and we played the team. We never play them during a regular season, so it was a good tune-up game. Well, if you don't know the game of lacrosse, the goalies don't ever get a chance to go and score a goal themselves. It's on their bucket list at some point in their career. They want to go ahead and catch the ball from the opponent, and they want to go up to the other end of the field, and they want to score a goal. That's their dream. Our goalie on this particular day at this scrimmage had an opportunity to do that. For whatever reason, the field was clear. Usually you pass it out to the left or to the right to a long pole, pass it up to a short pole, and then move forward. But he had a clear open field, and he's like, ha, this is my opportunity. So he goes upfield, he gets across midfield, and he starts working towards the goal. Defender finally gets in front of him, and he thought he would dazzle the crowd and dazzle his teammates by doing a spin move. So he did this spin move. It's AstroTurf. He's not used to doing spin moves and probably planted his foot just a little too hard, and he tore his MCL. And so before the season even started, we were down. We started with 4 goalies. We were down to 1 goalie. Needless to say that season ended up being a disappointment, and we didn't make the tournament. So with all the best laid plans, having everybody in position, things will ultimately happen that will leave you with 1 person, and in some cases, no people. And we've got to do everything we can to be prepared for that. So what are you doing right now when this happens to you? When you lose that master tech, when you lose that service writer, what are you doing to be prepared for that? So are you trying to put a square peg into a round hole? I think in some cases we do. I think we've all been guilty of pulling up that C tech to a B tech when they're just not ready. Pulling that B tech up to an A tech to do some heavy diagnosing when they're just not ready. Maybe pulling that general service tech who really has what we think is a good personality, and then putting them on the counter and with limited time and limited exposure, expecting them to do a good job. and it just doesn't work. So I'm not saying that those aren't moves to be made in the future, but when it's made out of necessity and not because the person was ready, that's when we face challenges. So I believe in most of our shops that we are ready probably for one move. You guys have probably said, okay, if this was to happen, I could slide this person, move this person, and I'd be okay. What I think you're not prepared for is if you had more than one move happen. And so what challenge you and would like you guys to bring into play is a succession chart. If you guys would like to email me, my email address is mhaley, Haley at autotraining.net. I'd love to share this succession chart with you. And how you read this chart is from the bottom to the top. And so down at the bottom, you have all your positions from an A Tech, B Tech, C Tech. You could put general service in there and service manager, service writers. And you put in the person that you currently have in that position. And below that, in the gray shaded and light blue shaded areas, you have your backups. I hope you're taking note that you see that there's more than one backup for each position. I truly believe you need to have at least two backups for every position because things happen. And I think we could spend not just this hour, we could probably spend the rest of the day of all of us sharing stories on how that's happened to us, how we had a plan, we had that backup ready, and then something happened where the backup didn't accept the position or, because of performance counseling or what have you, we couldn't promote them into the position. So things happen and we need to have more than one backup. What this sheet also helps you in developing is which way are you finding these candidates? And I call it farming or hunting. You have to do one of the two. You either have to farm for your next candidate or you have to hunt for your next candidate. And let me explain that. Farming is growing. You plant the seed, you grow it, it grows up to a great crop, and you get the rewards from that crop. So hopefully you have someone in your company already that has that twinkle in the eye, that is eager to learn, that wants to learn, and we've just got to provide them with the tools so that they can grow into that position. So that's where you take someone and you invest in training. You put them on an action plan so they're doing it in a specific order, and you're mentoring them and you're cultivating them and you're bringing them up. And then at a set determined time, you can ensure that they've received all the training, they've received all the mentoring, they've received the on hands that they need, and that you're confident that they're ready for the next level. That's what we call farming. But as we know, we can't farm everybody in our company, and we probably don't have enough people in our company to keep that going successfully. So at some point, we're going to have to go out and hunt, which is typically what we think about when we talk about bringing people into our company is by hunting. That's where we have to place our ads, we have to do our networking, and we have to do our sourcing to bring people that already have this experience, or we hope that they have the experience needed so that they can come in and do the job for us. So there's two ways to go and grab these people from farming and hunting. And so this chart helps you. I suggest that you'd pull this chart out once a month. You'd look at it and then create your recruiting plan and your training plans off of what you have off of your succession chart. Speaking of farming, you would want to have a tech training curriculum, something that is scheduled, something uh, that is giving them professional training, that are receiving classroom training, online training, practical training, and it's done in systematically so that you're growing a general service to a C Tech, a C Tech to a B Tech, a B Tech to an A Tech, and that we're making sure that we are comfortable that one, they are retaining the information, they're able to use that information, and they've displayed that they comprehend it and are doing a good job at it. So that requires us laying out a plan, providing them the tools, providing them the training, providing them the time, and giving them a real good mentor that can help and share their knowledge with them as well. And then allowing them to do the jobs with supervision and allowing them to do so many till that they're comfortable and we're comfortable that they've mastered that and that they're ready for the next level. So having a written out tech training curriculum is very important. The next thing you have to do before you even venture out to go hunt is you have to be attractive. What separates you? What makes you different from the rest of the shops in your area? What makes people want to check you out and maybe potentially come work for you? So we have to get our house in order. And what do I mean by that? Well, when we're looking for people, when you guys opened up your businesses and currently working at your businesses, you did want to be different. You did want to be unique and you wanted to stand out from the rest. And to do that, you have to have employees that have competencies that show the culture and show the atmosphere that you want to have in your shop and what you want to show to your customers. So what I have here on this screen is just some competencies. They're in no particular order, and these are not all the competencies by no means, but just things I think you need to think about when you're interviewing, think questions you want to gear towards these competencies, and just kind of wrap your head around what competencies do I want my employees to have and show and display so that it builds my culture and it's ever present when I'm talking to my customers. So you want to make sure that you've given some thought and some consideration, and you've probably written this out somewhere and probably have it on all your questions you're going to ask your candidates when you're doing interviews. And I think where we also make a mistake when we do finally decide, okay, we need to go outside and hunt, we need to put some ads together. I think we make a mistake nowadays with the ads that we run. We run ads that say, we're looking for this, we're in need of this, I need someone who has the capability of doing that. And think about when someone's looking for a job, are they really worried about what you need? Or are they a little bit more worried about what they need? And I would say it's probably the latter. So when you're writing an ad or when you're interviewing somebody, you want to make sure you're addressing their reasons, their needs. Is it that they're not appreciated where they're currently at? There's a slowdown in the work. There's training. There's no advancement. There's no leadership. There's no engagement. I just punched a clock in and out, and there's just nothing there for me. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we are addressing that pain point and explaining to them why we're different and why we're a better choice. And as you can see on this slide, I've just got a couple reasons why someone may be looking and how just putting out one ad will not address all those things. So with that being said, you would have to put out several ads to address those conditions. And so I always say we're going fishing, but we're not going to go fish with a fishing pole. We're going to go fish with a net. So we're going to use several ads. We're going to use several hiring sources, and we're going to rotate those ads because we need to be making sure we're hitting all the areas at all different times, because you never know when it's going to strike. You never know when it's going to hit. And then you need to be also tracking which ones are doing well and which ones are not doing so well. There's also now you have the opportunity with ads to put pictures on there. And I think pictures describe like they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. They can describe a lot of things. And when you could put friendly faces in front of a clean, organized shop, it really does send a message to people that are looking. And so use pictures, use videos. There's a lot of people now on their websites, they're putting little short videos on what it's like to work here and what it's like to be part of this team. And so those are some other great ideas, and I would encourage you guys to do that as well. Work with your webmasters to put those things out there also. And I know we can't do a lot of networking, people to people, belly to belly, we call it. But so what's replacing that currently now, and it's getting a lot of looks too, is social media. A lot of service centers are doing well with Facebook and those type of social media forums to ask for help and explain pain points and get conversations going. So just some areas to be looking at, and hopefully I've explained why you want to be in several areas. Also, you got to be different. What makes you different? You cannot be the same as the shop next to you, as the shop across the street from you, as the shop across town from you. You've got to be different so that you stand out. And I know when I say that, the first thing people go to is, well, I can't pay 100% medical. I can't pay 100% dental. I just can't afford to pay all those benefits. And my answer to that is, you're right. You can't. However, there are things you can put together that can be an attractive package, and people will really appreciate everything that you do offer. Now, can we pay towards medical, dental, and those things? Absolutely. So we could put something together so there's a contribution to that. Could we put in contributions to a simple IRA? Absolutely, we could do that. But here's some other things to think about that don't take money or a lot of money. They just take a little bit of effort. And so one of the biggest successes I ever had was when I took over a Toyota dealership, and it was pretty bad. They were not currently President's Club. Morale was an all-time low, and things just weren't going well. And so one of the things I introduced to the team, oh, and by the we were 5-day open 5 days a week, and they just announced that we were going to go to 6 days a week. So morale was really struggling at that point. And so I had to come up with a way so that we could be open an extra day and also improve morale and also make President's Club all at the same time. And so what I came up with was a 4-day work week. And so up to that point, everyone within that team and everyone in that drive, no one had ever worked a 4-day work week before. And they were a little skeptical. And they were like, how's that going to work? And so what we did 4 10-hour shifts, and we rotated it. And so that you were on a rotating shift, it was a 5-week rotation. And so at the end of the 5-week rotation, you were off on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You got 5 days off in a row. And people looked at it and they're like, that's interesting. I don't know if it's going to work. And I said, well, can we do this? Will you give me 120 days to do it and give me an honest effort? And then at the end of that, let me know what you think. And so I had made up my mind that this was either going to be a great thing or I was going to have a very short career at this dealership. Either way, something was going to happen. And so we did it. Come to find out, they really enjoyed having 3 days off a week. They really enjoyed at the end of the 5th week having 5 days off in a row. And they enjoyed having a schedule that went from when we started to infinity. The schedule never changed. It always stayed the same, and same rotation. And so they could schedule things. They knew what days they would be off forever. And so, and especially having a day off during the week, they were able to do those doctor's appointments. They were able to do those dental appointments. They were able to do, the things that they needed to do during the week. And I really never really heard, hey, Mike, I need to take off for a few hours to handle this or handle that. They were able to handle it with their regular schedule. And so it became very successful. Matter of fact, I started receiving calls from other dealerships, other technicians going, hey, I heard you're running a 4-day work week. Is that true? Can you explain a little bit to me? And so I was more than happy to do that, more than happy to sit down and talk with them. And I picked up a few people because of that 4-day work week. Think about it, guys. Most of you are set up for production. Why does it matter if that person produces what you need them to produce in 4 days, 5 days, or 6 days? And if they can produce it, if I can set them up with the work and they can produce the work in 4 days, it's a win-win. And think about it when you're planning a project at home or doing something. You usually have 2 factors that come into mind when you're making a decision. It's going to cost me time or it's going to cost me money. And which one am I willing to give up or which one am I willing to do? It's the same thing with a 4-day work week. You're giving them more time, which is very precious to them. And hopefully, if you schedule it right and book it right, they're making just as much or more money. So again, it's a win-win. Something else you could consider is more holidays. You could do birthdays, you could do anniversaries, just an extra day or two, but it means a lot when you're putting a total package together. I also listed a gym membership. And the reason I did that, I know most of our jobs are active and we're busy and things like that, but people are into health and people want to live a long, healthy life. And a gym membership is part of that. And these gym memberships are really inexpensive. I mean, I think Planet Fitness is $10. I think Gold's Gym is $15. And so more than just offering the membership, it just says, hey, I care about you and I want you to be physically fit and I want you to feel healthy. And so there's something I want to offer to you. Whether you take it or not is totally up to you, but I just want to offer that to you as a benefit. Another thing that I think works really well, and it doesn't get a lot of talk, is tenure rewards. In other words, an employee's with you for 5 years. there's a reward for that. When I was with a company at 5 years, we received savings bonds, and 5 year increments after that, they would increase the saving bonds that they gave you. And it was just a thank you. Thank you for giving us 5, 10, 15 years of great service. And we really appreciate that. And here's a little something to say thank you for that. We have a shop in Florida that at 10 years, he takes the employee and their significant other out on a weekend cruise. They they map it out when they're going to go. Of course, it's pre-COVID, obviously, but they would do a weekend cruise, and it was just fantastic, and people really loved that, and it was a great perk. Kumler Automotive in Ohio, at the end of 20 years, he buys you a car. He will go to auction and buy you the car of your choice, within reason, obviously. And so I just think that's a fantastic tenure award for saying thank you for giving us 20 good years of service, and here's just a token of my appreciation for that. And so people really gravitate to that. And what does it do for turnover? What does it do for for tenure when people say, wow, there's rewards for staying here, and I really appreciate that and like that. Something else that's come into play is pet insurance. Pets are part of our family. In some cases, we like our pets more than we like our family, and and pet costs are very expensive. When you go to a vet, it's not a cheap visit, and so pet insurance can help with that. Pet insurance is somewhere between $40 to $80 a month. I'm not saying that you absorb all the costs, but maybe you kick into it. Don't know what that looks like. That would be something for you to discuss. But just to say, hey, look, we know pets are part of the family too, and we want to recognize that, and we want to have a benefit to that. So I think that's awesome. Pay for volunteering. Everybody would love to volunteer and give back to things, but sometimes it's a matter of time and it's a matter of convenience. But what about if we paid when someone volunteered? Let's say someone did Habitat for Humanity and they went down and did 8 hours of Habitat for Humanity. We could come up with a dollar amount, say it's $10 an hour, what have you. And so if they put in 8 hours, we're going to go ahead and write a $80 check for Habitat for Humanity for just supporting that person and getting behind them for that volunteering, and just making them, make it feel a little extra special. And again, it's not a lot of money, but it's something we can do. And if you add all these things up and come up with a dollar amount, and then I would challenge you, you're only going to be probably raising your labor rate somewhere between $3 to $5. It's not going to be a lot of money. And so it's a pretty, again, you want to have a long list of things that you can do and a long things that you can offer. Some other things, providing tools. I know you guys are in North Carolina, and I don't know if you've heard or know, but in California, there's two different pay rates. If you hire somebody and provide them the tools, there's a pay scale range you can offer a job in, and if you offer the same job without tools, it's a higher rate that you have to pay because you're not providing tools to the candidate. I don't know if that'll ever make it out here, but typically when it starts in California, it seems to trickle out this way. But how about, some of the reasons people don't go into this industry or they get discouraged with this industry is because of the price of tools. And so what if we did have a tech curriculum program and we gave them a starter kit and we got them started off on the right foot, and we're providing them a good set of tools, and as long as they stay employed with us, they're their tools to use. Something like that would encourage them and be a good benefit. Short-term and long-term disability. I know we don't like to think about it. I know we think it's expensive. It's really not. So if you work with your insurance brokers, you'll find out that it's pretty reasonable, and it's only pennies to add it to your benefits and to raise your labor rate to cover that. Again, provide a training path. In other words, we pay for training. I pay you time when you're being trained. That's important to people, and people like to hear that, and it's a good part of a benefit package. Financial classes. Provide them the opportunity to take a Dave Ramsey class. One of the things we struggle with, not just this industry, but a lot of industries, is that they're not taught how to budget finances. They're not taught how to pay down debt. They don't teach that in school. They don't teach that at home. So unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, we could make an impact on someone's life by giving them that knowledge, giving them that information so that they are able to live within their budget and able to pay down debt. It's also a win-win for us because then they're also not coming to us all the time asking for more money because they're spending more money. And then also to match other contributions. Again, maybe if they write a check to a nonprofit, maybe we match it up to a certain dollar amount. So these are just all ideas, I think, that you could put a really expansive and really comprehensive benefit package together without bringing in a lot of money. And if someone looked at all the benefits you're offering, you really would be attractive. Now to nitty gritty. I know you guys are all wondering, so how do we find these people, Mike? Where are they all at? And what's the secret to getting them? I don't know that I'm going to be sharing a secret with you. I think I'm just going to be putting numbers to it. So pre-COVID, and still with COVID too, because of social media, the way most jobs were gained in the United States and Canada, and I'm talking about automotive, I'm talking about accounting, I'm talking about software, I'm talking all businesses across the board. 75% of all jobs gained are through networking. Somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. If you would run through our list of coaches here at ATI, it's like remember the game Six Steps to Kevin Bacon, where you would list an actor and within naming six other actors get to Kevin Bacon. It's the same thing in our department. Somebody worked with somebody, somebody worked in conjunction with somebody, and that's how we all got here at ATI. We liked who they were, we liked their competencies, we liked the abilities they had, and we brought them into our family. And so that's how it worked, and that's how it works still today. So it's somebody knowing somebody. And so with that being said, you can't be reclusive. You have to get out there. And I know that for a lot of us, that's uncomfortable and we don't like it. And we don't think we have the time and we don't think we have the tools and we don't, it's just icky to us. But we've got to get it so that it's not icky anymore to us. We got to get comfortable. And so you need to get involved in your BNI groups. You need to get involved at job fairs. You're not going to come home with 100 apps and they're all qualified and they're all going to be great employees for you. That's not a realistic expectation. But you are going to find somebody that does fit the mold to maybe you can bring them into your company and you can farm them and bring them up. Or maybe they do have the skill sets and you can mold them into your culture, into your competencies that you're looking for. So please, please get involved in that. Sitting on a board. I sat on the board at the Catonsville Community College for the T10 program, the Toyota program they had. And it required me to go down there 4 times a year to sit in on a meeting so I could look at the class that they were having and, put any input that I would have. It also gave me an opportunity for me to invite the students to my shop so they could come look at my shop. And it gave me insight to who were the good students working through the instructors and who I would want to try to bring on board as an apprentice into my program. And so typically I would get about 4. Each class I would try to get 4 students to come in and be apprentice techs for us. And I would usually keep 1 out of 4. That was the law of averages. And I don't know there was any one reason why it worked out like that. But once I learned the math and I knew what my needs were or what my needs were coming up, I knew how many apprentice techs I would be looking for so that I could fulfill that. So get involved on any boards that you can get involved in. And then also change your routine. I know when we're out and about, you should always have your business cards on you. You should always be striking up conversations. And you can't keep doing that in the same area at the same time with the same people. So I know, like most of us, we get up in the morning and we go out and get our morning coffee on the way to work. What I'm saying is maybe go to a different place for coffee. Maybe go to a different place for lunch. Maybe go to a different place on your way home. Just strike up a conversation. Buy someone a cup of coffee. Pay it forward and just strike up a conversation. Keep in touch. It's very rare nowadays that you're going to do an interview and that person, especially a master tech that's comfortable in being taken care of, that they're just going to say, okay, Mike, I really believe everything you're telling me and I believe you're a better deal. And so I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice. I'm going to come to you. It doesn't happen quite like that anymore. So you need to stay in touch. Keep inviting them. When you have training sessions, say you're inviting somebody into your shop for training after hours, invite your potential candidates. That shows a lot of things about your culture, shows a lot of things about your competencies, and it shows a lot about who you are. And I'm sure no one else is inviting them to training, and they'll think differently of you if you do that. I used to call the people I really were interested in and the people I really wanted to bring into my fold. I'd call them every holiday. So the next holiday coming up here is Easter. So I would make a call on their cell phone. I usually 9 out of 10 times got the voicemail. And so the call would be something like this. Hi, Derek. This is Mike from Haley's Automotive. I just wanted to call, wish you and your family a happy Easter. If you're traveling out of town, please be careful. And as always, we are still interested in anything we can do with a future with you. So if anything changes, please give us a call, and you have a great holiday. Boom, hang up the phone. 9 times out of 10, I would not get a response back. And that's okay. It was just to say, hey, I haven't forgotten about you and I care. And I did this for probably 9 months on Derek. I had just mentioned his name. And one day, it was after, I think, Labor Day, probably about 3-4 hours after leaving that message, boom, I got a call. It was Derek. And Derek saying, hey, Mike, are you going to be around the shop tonight? And I said, I will now. And of course, he came down. We had already done an interview. He had already come down and seen the place. He knows what we do, what we're about. He knows about what I could have paid him and what we offered in benefits. And then we were able to put it together. What happened is they changed management at his location, and he wasn't happy, and it just wasn't working out the way he thought it would work out. He knew there was somebody out there that was interested in him, and he wanted to see if that was going to work. Derek turned out to be one of my best hires. This was back in the day, and we're still friends today. And whenever I don't feel like getting under the hood or under the car, he's the one I call and does my work today. So you just have to stay with it, keep your tenacity, and it'll pay off. And again, with training, like I said, invite them in for training, keep the training going, have open houses. Bring people in, and don't be afraid to show them your benefit package, show them how you operate, show them what type of services you do. Don't be a secret. I know when I was coming up in this industry, we had to keep everything a secret. We couldn't even let out what our labor rate was. I think people enjoy transparency, and they want transparency, so do that when you can. Team buildings. I hope once this pandemic settles down and we open back up, that you guys will get back to doing team buildings with your team. And when you do that, think about the other candidates you want to bring into your team and invite them to your team building. If you guys are going paintballing, or you're going bowling, or for whatever you guys are into, whatever you guys are doing, make sure you do that, and make sure you include those candidates you're interested in. Just again, so they get to see a little bit more of an insight to you and your team, and you get to see a little bit about them. And I'm sure the place they're working is not doing anything like that. So I think that's important too. Also, with running ads for North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, I know a little bit about it. I'm based out of here of Baltimore, so I'm a Yankee. I know that. My son recently moved down into Raleigh. He works for Ryan Homes, NVR, and he sells mortgages for them. And I say sell mortgages. He's not selling mortgages. You guys have such an influx of people coming into that state that you have a real opportunity and a real gift to offer somebody a better cost of living, more house for their money, and a real opportunity to have them set up a better life. My son Nick tells me all the time how people are constantly moving out of the state of New York, Boston, Chicago, and Pennsylvania to move into your great state. And so I think you should be running some ads up there. I think we may have missed the window of winter, but probably could still get away with it now. And they're up there. It's cold. They're shoveling snow in some cases. I know just out in Denver, they were just doing that. And you guys could probably have a nice picture of your friendly faces, probably in shorts, saying, come on down. The barbecue's great. The weather's great. The cost of living is great. And look how much more you get for your dollars down here. Come down here and work with some great people. And so you guys have really got a gift, and I would really encourage you guys to go outside of your state and look for help. I think people would be really interested. Everybody talks about when I retire, I'm going to go to North Carolina. You could even put a spin on that and say, won't you start your retirement a little early? Come on down and work with a great team. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for you guys to do that. And that is my speech on building a bench. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. I can't wait to get to North Carolina myself.
I don't see any questions in the chat. If you are, go ahead and type them out. Otherwise, feel free to unmute yourself.
Is anyone using a benefit that I didn't list, or would you like to share? I could steal from you. I sure would love to steal something if I could. No. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, if there's no questions, I guess you guys can enjoy your lunch or have a little extra time for your lunch. Again, if you'd like that succession chart, my email is mhaley@autotraining.net. I'd be happy to send it to you. If you got any other questions, happy to do that as well. I would tell you right now, we're seeing guys having pretty good luck with Facebook. Facebook's working really good and boosting that. You can actually take the push pin 2 and stick it over a dealership or over your competition, and that'll put the ad right there. So when people are looking around, it'll show up. It's a little nasty trick you can do right now until they figure that one out. So have some fun with that. And so that's really working right now too. And I also didn't mention the other one that's working really well is LinkedIn. So if you go into LinkedIn, you look for master techs in your area too. It's a good way to start up some conversations. So, and once this pandemic gets behind us, it'd be nice to get out and actually talk to people in person.
Definitely.
Hopefully sooner rather than later. So, okay, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to let you guys go then. I appreciate you listening. Appreciate you letting me come in and share with you. And if there's anything I can do for you in the future, Maddie, you know how to get a hold of us. Okay.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. And thanks everybody for joining us for lunch today.
Thanks now. Bye.
See you, everybody.
Thank you.